I'm Lorelei Keefe, and I am the on-site employee assistance program person through Cigna for Pinellas County employees and their families. And I'm physically located in downtown Clearwater in the annex building next to the old courthouse. And I'm available virtually or in person 19 hours a week. And the information is on the wellness website. With my phone number, you're welcome to call my desk phone, but I'm only here 19 hours a week. And so my cell phone is a sure bet, because that's always with me. That's my office number. So all that information is on there, but I'm really glad that you guys were able to join us. So Jane from Wellness is also hosting today, and she is going to help me moderate the chat. You guys are welcome to put questions on when you think of it, because I know how your brain works. My brain works the same way. If I don't say it right then, I might forget it. But I generally like to wait till the end to answer questions, only because I don't do very well with multitasking when I'm trying to present. So, and also you guys should have the handouts, which we'll be referring to in the conference. And also, if you could do your evaluation of the seminar at the end, that would be helpful too, because they like to just gather feedback for things that we could improve on, or also topics that you would like us to present on, because we're always trying to be in touch with what you guys want. So I am going to okay, that way I can see everything. All right, so I think that you know, when you think about the juggling act of family, I want to open this up to that it is not limited to just with children, because it's also a juggling act when you have disabled or older family members that you're taking care of either in your home, or you're the point person that goes to the facility where the person lives. And that is a juggling act as well. I have taken care of several older family members, not in my home, but you know, you are the one that they call in the middle of the night, or during the day, or where we need this, we need that. So think of the juggling act as all of our responsibilities, and I think that that will be helpful. But families today, especially in light of everything we've all gone through in the last couple of years, we face countless pressures and expectations. And that's another piece of what we're going to talk about, is your own expectations of yourself as a parent or as a caregiver. Because if we challenge some of those assumptions, then we can simplify our lives, you know. So we're going to take a fresh look at coping strategies, but also assumptions. So these are the seminar goals. Like I said earlier, the focus today is on managing the juggling act in families with children and other people that you're caring for, but also just in general life balance. So we're going to be talking about that. So the seminar goals are up on the screen, and you can read those for yourself. But so we're going to kind of look at in depth the pressures that modern families face. And we're going to look at how you might be affected by the pressures. Some you might not even realize. And then look at strategies that are going to help you identify your priorities, make your priorities. And then by following what is your priority, hopefully reduce the stress. We're going to use the image of juggling a lot. So I think that that's a really apt title for this seminar, because that's going to help you remember kind of what we're doing. And then gain tips to manage your commitments more effectively, which hopefully will give you more time. And then at the very end, I'm going to do a little commercial for the EAP and answer any questions about that as well. Okay, so this is the part about the assumptions. Okay, this is the pressures from within. And oftentimes we think of pressure as something that is applied to us from the outside, and that's what creates the stress. But remember, pressure can come from the inside as well, pushing out. And so I think that in general, sometimes we can get caught up in a competition And I think too, the fact that on social media, you can see what people are wearing that day and what they're eating that day and how they decorated their house for Christmas, you know, in the middle of November, all of this kind of stuff. We have so much of an image of what other people are doing that even if we're not a competitive person, you might be feeling it more than you were before. And also the fact that it's 24/7, so you can't sleep and you're up at 2 in the morning and you're seeing this stuff on social media. So again, that can amplify some of the pressures that we're feeling from within. So with all that in mind, the idea of keeping up, that if we don't keep up, we risk failure and our kids will never, ever be successful. And again, I'm generalizing and exaggerating, but it's important that we challenge these beliefs because they're not absolutes. And if you internalize them as true, then you just can see how it escalates. So on this poster, it talks about your kids missing out if they aren't in activities. Kids like to be busy. I feel guilty if my kids don't have what other kids have. You know, you can read through it, but you might not feel all of these, but maybe at some point you have felt some of these. Maybe at some point you felt all of them, just not at the same time. But these assumptions that if you think of them as absolutes, they can be a root of much of the pressure that we feel. And so we're going to kind of challenge that. We're going to come back to this slide later on. So meanwhile, our lives are also being shaped by external pressures, which is the ones that we're most familiar with. And so an ever-growing number of commitments have put family schedules and stress into overdrive. So overloaded schedules and competing priorities. So it is nice to be able to work remotely, but sometimes that bleeds into our family time because it just seems pretty simple that I could just check my emails. And maybe I even tell myself, well, if I check my emails before I go to bed, then there'll be less new emails in the morning when I wake up. But, you know, you're not on the clock right before you go to bed, and you really don't want to activate your brain in that way. So that's why it's important, even when you're working from home, to have clear boundaries of when you're working and when you're not working. Kind of try to throw out the misconception that we can multitask, because multitasking really is not very efficient. And it can interfere with your sleep if you're pulling in work stuff, you know, when you're trying to get ready for winding down. And it goes without saying that technology has been our friend and also has been a big push for this. So thinking about how you can maybe look at the extracurricular activities that you and your family have picked. The example I always give for this one is Christmas is a favorite holiday of mine, but it tends to be really, really over scheduled, right? And so I make a list of all the things that I would like to accomplish for Christmas, for the Christmas season. And then I ask my family members, please tell me the one tradition that you can't give up, whether it's, you know, making sugar cookies or going out and looking at Christmas lights, whatever it is. And then we just start crossing things off the list that didn't make the priority list. And then we enjoy it more. You probably all have been in the boat where you've tried to get everything done and you've got a really tight schedule and you're like, come on, we got to get in the car. We got to go here now. We got to do this. We got to do that. And everybody ends up being stressed. So when you add to that over, you know, too many extracurricular activities, the fact that you have activities of daily living, that's what we call it. You know, I need to take a shower. I need to make dinner. I need to walk the dog. Okay, so again, we're trying to minimize the stress. So that's why we're looking at what are the things I can get rid of. So what's at stake? So this is talking about what can happen to our bodies and our relationships when we don't pay attention to how stressed we are and how busy we are. So concentrating on keeping all those balls in the air, remember we're juggling, can make it hard to recognize that your life is out of balance because you're really just working to keep it all going. You're not really looking at how it's going. So we keep going, ignoring or adapting to the stress of our daily schedules. It is what it is. But exactly what do you think you're risking by not addressing this? Most people are aware that stress can take a physical toll on our body. So, you can look at chronic stress as a predictor to health risks, from obesity to cancer to high blood pressure, all of those things. So your body is not going to ignore the stress. So that's why it's important to be aware of it and try to manage it better. The other thing is that your kids are watching you and listening to you, but they're watching you more than they're listening to you. So, they're going to mirror what we do. And so we want to make sure that we're teaching them how to manage a lot of different requests, a lot of different responsibilities, and that that the person is more important than the list. Okay, so it's important not to be thinking what you have to do next all the time, but instead thinking, how are you doing? You don't want to be barking orders. You want to say, hey, is everybody ready for checking out the homework and making sure the backpacks are ready, instead of getting out the checklist and the whistle, And stress can erode also other parts of our life. It's a part that I don't think we talk about enough, but that's joy. Joy is what it's the cherry on top, but it's important, the whipped cream and the cherry. And so when you keep joy as a priority, then you're going to try to make things more fun and appealing, which we all know helps with compliance when we're trying to get our little soldiers to do what they need to do. If you keep joy on the list of priorities, then people are not going to be as snappy. They're not going to be as short with each other. And also, you're paying attention to the fact that a secure bond with your child is the most important thing you can give them. Yes, we want to have safety and housing and food, secure housing, that kind of thing. But you want them to bond with you and to know that even in stressful times, that you're going to try to keep a cool head and, help them learn how to manage. So where do we go from here? So we talked earlier about examining your assumptions of what you think are absolutes, but really they're just assumptions, and how to identify your priorities, and then shifting your resources to support your priorities and managing commitments more effectively. I think that is a really good blueprint of kind of how you put all of this stuff into action. All right, so this was the slide that we looked at earlier. So I'm going to click on them and we're going to look at some statistics. Okay, so my kids will miss out if they aren't in activities, but experts advise including unstructured downtime for best development. We all saw this firsthand. If you have kids at home during the beginning of the pandemic, when they were all learning how to do things remotely and technology and all that, and they really did better when they had some unstructured downtime. And when I think of downtime, I think of not technology based, that it's going to be playing with the dog or going for a walk in the neighborhood. And it does benefit them in other ways, but let them pick what they want to do some of the time. Kids like to be busy and have lots to do. Yeah, we all know how that can go. It kind of goes along with the first one, that it's good to have downtime. So if you don't start sports early, they won't make the team later on. I would include also in this drama classes, music lessons, dance classes, all that kind of stuff. Early intense sports training can lead to burnout and injury. You might not get an injury from drama or piano lessons, but they can burn out if you are all about the intensity of it early on. This is the one that I hear the most, though. Eating on the go and delayed bedtimes are just a fact of life. It's not just that your digestion is impacted by eating on the go, or that, our bodies can make up the sleep maybe on the weekend, which doesn't actually work that well for little ones. But it's really important to set aside as a priority that we're going to sit down for dinner at a table at least a couple of times a week. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to use, real dishes and set the table, like Emily Post would say we should set the table, although that's kind of nice for the kids to see that once in a while. For Easter, I had another family over and we ate at the dining room table and we used my good china. Now, I have had that china over 30 years and my 19-year-old son said, "Mom, these dishes are really cool. Where did we get them?" That's really sad, okay? That he did not ever remember seeing the good china in his lifetime. So aside from teaching them that the meal is important and the family time is important, kids also need to know that they're going to have to make eye contact with you and they're going to be held accountable, and that the meal is the activity. We are joining together to have this meal. So that's the other part, not just the digestion and how well we process our food when we're eating in the car, but that we're going to stop the clock a little bit and just all sit down together. This one you probably have heard before. Most colleges don't look for the quantity of activities, so your kids don't have to have a 2 pages of extracurricular activities. Colleges really want to know that there's a commitment and long-term. And then the last one, I will feel guilty if I don't give my kids what other kids have. There's always a price, whether it's financially or time. I think, if you're going to be the kind of parent that buys a new phone for your kids when they come out, then you're going to be the kind of parent that's going to work enough hours to be able to pay for that new phone. And so if you're working overtime or working a second job, you're not really with your family. So, we can talk it through with our kids. I say narrate your actions. That oftentimes helps them understand the decision-making process. Okay, so now I want you to look at your first handout. It's the identifying priorities. It's 2 pages. So this is really cool in that I suggest that if you co-parent with someone, looking it over with them, or if you're a single parent, doing it first by yourself, and then including the kids or the other people that you're taking care of in the process. But if you look through it, it sort of is helping you identify, again, identifying priorities, but figuring out what's most important to your family. You guys can read through the part 1, what is important, but the one that really stands out to me is 2/3 of the way down. It says, when is your family at their worst? What is most challenging for each family member? Most of the time we don't focus on things that don't go well. We don't really want to remember them or draw attention to them. But why I think it's important to say what's most challenging for each family member is because it's important to teach our kids that we all have strengths and weaknesses and that that's okay. And you can also think about this like with your team at work. Or a sports team for that matter. We're going to fit together and support each other because I'm good at this and you're good at that. And so having kids kind of do that inventory of what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, and that, I've got you. If this is your weakness, I've got you. And then you're going to help me, speaking from experience. I'm not good with tech stuff. And so that's where my kids come in and help me, is they teach me stuff and I teach them stuff. So again, you're thinking long-term. This is a really good building block. So anyway, looking back to the identifying priorities worksheet. So at the bottom of the first page, it says our family mission statement. So the mission statement to me is more global than the goals. So let's say that your mission statement that you decide for your family is to be happier and to have less stress daily, okay? Goals are going to be more active and more specific. So, and goals can also change. So let's say that our mission statement for our family was to be happier and have less stress daily. Then a goal might be that, go to the beach or the park every weekend for at least 2 hours without our phones. That could be my goal for my family. And it would support the mission statement. And again, we can add, we can subtract, we can modify the goals, but the mission statement kind of stays for a while because that's what we've identified as what's most important to us. At the top of the second page, part 2, compare your actions. So we alluded to this a little bit earlier, but if your belief system and your actions don't really match up, that's when you're going to feel a lot of internal conflict. You want to identify your priorities, identify what you believe in, what you are most committed to, and then your actions want to support that, and then you're going to feel less stress. So I think that that's why this slide is a really good one, or the handout is a really good one in helping us get started. Okay, so this one, you begin reclaiming the life you want to modify stressors, reduce stressors, and balance stressors. So modifying is, how can we tweak this a little bit? Reducing is taking some stuff off the list, and then balancing is those things that we can't really take off the list, but we need to make sure that we're not just going from the list. Go back to the joy and the important to just bond and spend family time together. So look at your second handout. It is one page and it is called Find Your Stress Points. It's got 4 different questions: the when, what, who, and how. And this just helps you figure out what it is that it's almost like when you go to the dentist and they make you bite down on that awful inky paper to see where your bite is off. That's what this is like. Let's see where we're not hitting smoothly. So that's why you want to find your stress points. Question number 4 on that handout: how do your choices create stress? Again, that's the part about making sure that you know what your priorities are, and then make sure that your actions are supporting them. And remember, this is not about perfection. This is about adjusting. And so really want people to understand that we don't have to get it right the first time. Okay, we're going to keep checking in and trying to figure it out and make it work better. So another way that we can shift our resources, and we're going to talk more about this in the next couple of slides, but efficiency moves, which help you reconfigure what you have to do and make it easier. Limiting moves, which again, taking things off the list, which going back to the juggling metaphor, taking balls out. Okay, you're going to juggle less balls, and that's how you limit your moves. And then nurturing moves, which is you want the scale to be in balance. These moves bring stress levels down, they reinforce the positive, and they hopefully support a connected feeling in the family that we need. So the analogy for that is stop juggling. Just stop juggling for a little while. Just be. You don't have to keep the balls moving all of the time. Okay, so efficiency moves. The next 3 slides are going to offer an opportunity for you guys to kind of question for yourself. If you want to take notes, you can do that. Also on the last handout, Reclaim the Life You Want, you could make notes. But if we were doing this in person, we would be sharing our answers. But if you want to just write them down, or you can put them in the chat if you prefer. But this is a chance for you guys to do some introspection. So reclaiming the life you want. So we talked a little bit about efficiency moves. So efficiency moves could be, having everybody pitch in for the things that have to get done, doing double duty, planning ahead, and looking beyond your norms. Okay, so the planning ahead efficiency move, I think that most people are familiar with, would be like planning the meals over the weekend, shopping for what you need, pre-cooking, pre-prepping, so that family meals are simpler. Okay, doing double duty, kind of for me, that's the one where you would say, like, we're going to use paper plates. Another one that I like to remind people to do, again, going back to the joy and making things fun, is, you know, we're gonna have breakfast for dinner. My family used to think that was the funniest thing. You can't have breakfast for dinner, Mom. Well, you can really, and it's probably the easiest meal I know how to make. Scrambled eggs and bacon and you know, something like that. And it's simple, but they think it's kind of fun because you're doing things differently. So again, that's an efficiency move. But ask your kids to help you figure out, you know, what ideas they have of how they could pitch in. I mean, again, double duty. You know, if you have more than one child, you've probably thrown 3 of them in the bathtub at once so that you can just get bath time over with. So that's an efficiency move. And then the last one about look beyond your norms. And again, this could be done at work as well. Look past but we've always done it this way, mind block. So, you know, just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean we have to keep doing it this way. We need to be flexible. We need to be resilient. We need to be able to shift and modify as needed because, you know what, different times call for different rules. It doesn't mean you're changing your priorities. Those can stay the same, but how you are living them out can change. All right, so limiting moves. This is a little bit more difficult, but to bring your priorities into focus, you could ask yourself, what is it costing me to do this? And when I say what is it costing me, I mean as far as your time, your talents, and your resources. So it's not just money. Your time is very valuable and your talents are very, very valuable. So that's where you kind of need to remind yourself that it's okay to say no. Okay. Let's say that you are, you know, you make the best chocolate chip cookies ever. Okay. And so you've got this reputation as making the best chocolate chip cookies. And when you get a reputation like that, you often get asked to make your best chocolate chip cookies for every church or synagogue bake sale or little league bake sale, whatnot. Okay. So just because people are recognizing that you're good at something does not mean that you're obligated to say yes. It's very important to say no. You know, thank you for the compliment. Thank you for thinking of me, but I just don't have the time right now to do that. And so check back with me another time. Okay, so it's okay to say no. And then again, like redefining as a family what enough means, right? Like what is enough? You know, can we say no? You can also say no to stuff that the family's always done, like a vacation. If you're the kind of family that always went on a family vacation to see grandparents in another state, but maybe you guys would rather just spend the week at home and go to the beach and, you know, say that we're just not going to be able to do it this summer, that's okay too. So again, being flexible, knowing what is important for your family. And remember that, again, we're being influenced by the stuff, the external stressors, like what you're seeing on social media, what you're seeing on the internet, on movies, TV, that kind of thing. So the last one is nurturing moves. So I said earlier that kids thrive and do their best when their connection to their parents is strong, unhurried, and unstressed. I like to say that slowly because that really emphasizes it. And it's the same with most of our relationships. You know, there are times when we have to do things on the fly and speak in shorthand and all that kind of stuff. But then there's other times where we just want to be present. So looking at the slide, nurturing moves is when we align our actions with our priorities. We learn to be present and listen. We plan sacred family time and we allow fun to be a goal. So sacred family time, some of you guys might have heard me say this. I probably use this example a lot, but Modern Family, which is in reruns now, but when it was a show that came on every Wednesday night at 9, I know exactly when it came on, that was our sacred family time. And I had probably kindergarten through, I don't know, 5th grade. And then my daughter was a teenager. And so the fact that I could combine a kindergartner and a 9th grader for anything on a regular basis was amazing. That the 9th grader would come downstairs and sit with us for 30 minutes and watch the same show was amazing. It was, for the most part, a wholesome, funny show that we could laugh at and relate to. But aside from the content that was in the show, it was our sacred family time. And so we always knew Wednesday night at 9, we would be together, even if just for a half hour. So think about things that are sacred to you guys. It could be watching the Bucks together. It could be, you know, going to church together. It could be Sunday night dinners. So game night, you know, so when the kids know that this is important to us, they feel important. So that's the part about sacred family time. And again, you know, we have to be realistic. We can't always do everything the way maybe we envision doing it, but we do the best we can. And that's teaching our kids a lesson too, to be resilient. So this slide is about managing commitments at work. I know everybody has a different work schedule, different job description, different work groups, whatnot. And work schedules are not as easily modified, but looking at it can sometimes lead to other decisions that make life easier. So that's why I say, you know, like sometimes when I'm helping people look at what they can change in their life, I will just say, all right, so if money were no object, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do differently with XYZ? And they'll tell me something. And I say, okay, now money is an object and we don't have all the money in the world. What can we take from that, you know, money is no object answer and apply to the real world? So again, it's like teaching kids how to look outside of their limitations to come up with workable answers. Getting back to the work schedules. So, you know, look at what is available at work and, you know, look at what works best for you, talk to your team members and whatnot. But again, like we said in the very beginning of the seminar, what I said about when you're at home, when you're not on the clock, try to limit, you know, checking in electronically unless you're in some sort of position where you absolutely have to do that. And again, I don't know everybody's position, but, you know, just try to be aware of it, I think is the main thing. So this is what we're all working to avoid, and that's the breaking point. So being sandwiched between the needs of children, and if you might have elderly or disabled relatives, it can push the family juggler to the breaking point. So, you know, what I will say about this, and I say this parent to parent, is it won't last forever for almost all categories, you know, it won't last forever. There are some, of course, that are different, but, you know, this is a stage of life. And so what we want to do is cope with this stage of life, but also enjoy this stage of life, you know, because you're not always going to have to make sure the backpacks are packed and the lunches are packed and the homework is checked. It's really a small number of years where that's what you're doing. And so try to slow down a little bit and just know that it won't last forever. But if you feel like it's too much for you, that's when you want to reach out and get help. Don't be thinking, oh, I can manage it by myself all the time. There's all kinds of support out there, you know, carpool to the soccer games, rotate who brings the snacks, don't sign up for as much at PTA, resign some of your obligations if they're too much for you. But also remember you have an EAP that I'll get to that in the commercial, but the EAP is a really good resource. We have on-demand webinars that you can look at. We have people that you can talk to, and it's not just limited to counseling and therapy. Again, trying to focus on the positive is important with avoiding the breaking point, and also challenging your assumptions and going outside of the rules once in a while. That's, again, my example is the paper plates. Okay, that might not be the way you do it all the time, but you can do it some of the time. So the things that will lessen your load can be very helpful. Okay, so managing commitments with relationships. Okay, so a relationship is like a living thing that you have to nurture. You don't just acquire it and then pack it away. You know, it's got to be something that you take care of. Excuse me. So the best way we can nurture our relationships is by staying healthy and strong. That means getting enough sleep, eating when you're hungry, drinking enough water, and sticking to a schedule. Okay, so, you know, I talked about don't being too rigid with your schedules, but schedules do help us nurture relationships as well. Being there for each other, being present, checking in with each other, you know. I like the tradition of highs and lows. Okay, tell me the best thing that happened to you today and tell me the worst thing that happened to you today. And that highlights the fact that it's not all the bad stuff. You know, we have our blessings, we have our positives as well as the negatives, and that's normal. You know, we don't want kids to think that if they have a really bad day, then they're going to have a really bad life, because we know that's not true. You know, making time to say out loud what you admire about your partner, about your kids every day, simple things like that, which are caring, giving, nurturing acts. And tending to your whole circle of friends and family. You know, make time to send them a text or an email or a quick phone call. That's going to help us stay in balance as well. So we've been talking about how to help you with your family and with your job and with your extended family members, but remember that your needs count too. And so that needs to be part of your priorities. Me time. Are you having trouble remembering what it is that you really enjoy doing? So again, maybe do a pen and paper exercise where you really write down the things that matter to you. Make sure that you take time to tend to your health. You know, that you need sleep, you need quiet, not on the run meals, and that you also need time for exercise. And I don't mean that you have to be a marathon runner or lift weights or anything like that. Do what you enjoy doing, but get some exercise. Try to incorporate it into your day, into your whatever it is that you're doing. But just by you showing your kids that it's okay for you to think about you, kids have not individuated yet. They've not gone through that process where they see you as anything other than their parent when they're little. So you are sort of laying the foundation of that it's important for parents to take care of themselves too. Like it's important. That's why we give our teachers a gift card for Starbucks at the holidays, because we want our teacher to know that we are taking care of them and they take care of you all year. So, you know, again, the life lessons that we're teaching our kids. And it's also easier to be present and connected to your family when you are taking care of your own needs. You're going to be more relaxed. You're just going to feel better overall. All right, so how do you stay on course? Appreciating the small moments, you know, saying it out loud, you know, being kind to yourself. Again, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for effort and progress. Okay. Remembering what kids really need. Again, going back to that very early slide about challenging your assumptions. What they really need is you, and they need you to be as calm and as peaceful as possible. And, you know, I don't look at the world through rose-colored glasses. I know that we all could be going through different crises each day. So that doesn't mean that, you know, we're just gonna appreciate the small things on a really bad day. No, some days are really bad, and that's okay to acknowledge too, that some days are just really bad, but they don't last forever, and we will get through this as a family. supporting each other. Because remember, we all have strengths and weaknesses. So go back on the things that you're good at, that your kids are good at, and highlight that. And then being kind to yourself when you make mistakes, like, you know, when you tried that new recipe because it was supposed to be really fast and simple in the Instant Pot, and it was a total disaster, and you ended up making scrambled eggs for breakfast anyway. That's okay. Okay. If you remember what it is that your kids really, really want and need from you, which is usually a stress-free, happy, present you, then it's going to help you be able to live the things that matter to you. Going full circle here, guys. Whatever you listed as your priorities, then your actions need to support them so that you have less internal stress. And lastly, but not least, using your support systems and connectedness to keep you on track. So I am going to come back on screen. All right, so this is the commercial for the EAP. So again, the EAP is more than just therapy and counseling. It is available 24 hours a day. If you call the 800 number and want to just speak to someone because you've just had a really hard day, they will connect you to somebody that you can talk to right then, no matter what time of day or night it is. You also have the benefit of referral sources for legal issues, childcare, pet care, elder care, all that kind of stuff. They're going to connect you to the resources in our community. I have been told that when you call for the free 30-minute legal session, that they will connect you to somebody right then. So, you know, if you call and say, I'm interested in this, and you're not ready to talk to them right now, then just say, I'll call back later. But it is really fast and efficient. They have a great system in place of how to connect people to what they're asking for. The other thing that I'll say is, so the EAP is a benefit that every employee of the county has. Whether you are carried under the Cigna insurance or not, you're still eligible for the EAP. Anyone that lives in your house is also eligible for the EAP. Now, if you've got college kids or kids that are away at boarding school, something like that, they're still considered part of your house because they're minors or they're in college. But let's say that your mother-in-law is living with you, and she's living with you because she just lost her husband. She is eligible for the EAP as well because she is living in your household. So I remind people it's a very wonderful benefit. The county wants you to use it. They've already paid for it, so they want you to utilize it. It is all confidential. If you contact me or the 800 number, it does not get back in any way to your work group. There are statistics that are reported on, but they're quarterly, and I promise you it is all confidential. So it's a wonderful benefit that you guys have. And here are the references for this program. I did not put this slideshow together. Cigna actually did. They do a great job with it. But these are the resources that they drew from, the different studies and whatnot. So, Jane, is there anything? I want to remind you guys to please do the evaluation. That would be very helpful for us if you can fill those out and send them in. But Jane, did you want to make some other announcements?
Yeah, well, just a couple quick things. If you haven't looked in the chat, I put in a link for Lorelai's webpage so you can see all of her hours and links. We do recommend, since of course this is of a personal nature and our emails are all subject to public record, that you reach out to Lorelai using your personal information and your personal email. And I also put in a link to our EAP flyer, so you've got everything there. The phone number to the EAP is actually the very same that is on the back of your card for any other Cigna needs, whether it be dental, medical, behavioral health, prescription, coaching. It's all the same phone number. So even if you can't find it on the website, just use it, the same number from your card. The other thing I wanted to share with you, and let me see if I can do this really quickly, is a few quick updates and let's see, important announcements. All right, I assume that you can see my screen. Let me just do the other. I hope.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So a big change this year for our biometric screening and health assessment deadline is December 20th. We changed the deadline to 10 days earlier to allow for processing prior to the end of the year. I don't know if you've waited till the very, very last minute at the end of the year prior, but we wanted to ensure that trying to avoid some of the craziness. The deadline is December 20th. So please share that with your colleagues, your coworkers, your managers, your supervisors. We are and have been communicating this change, but we're looking to definitely get that word out in any way that we can. Also, some great resources for managing stress and kind of giving yourself a little bit of space that might help. We offer a weekly meetup on Mondays called Meditation Monday with guided live meditations by our wellness team. They meet at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. It's only a 15-minute get together, so perfect for that little break. On Wednesdays, we offer a brain break. Same idea, but different way to do that, playing games and trivia, stretching, so all kinds of stuff that we use. And then new, coming soon, we're gonna do a stretch break on Friday mornings, to give us all kind of that last boost for the end of the week. Let's see, here's Lorelai's information, but like I said, I included that in the all right, I included that in your chat. That's all I have for me.
Wonderful. Very good information to share. And you guys, please let people know all that information that Jane just shared. So, well, thank you for joining us. We're going to let out a little early so you guys can have time to eat your lunch if you've not been eating it while we've been doing this. But thanks for joining us.